All right, so I'm going to talk about measurement. I asked a minute ago how many people have been at ATD for a couple of times, long time. I think this is 34 of them for me, and measurement has been part of it since the beginning. So I'm going to do some stuff from the past, but I'm going to talk about that a lot because it's a lot of times it's misunderstood. So, why do we even do measurement? Confidence in investments and training. One of the things that's interesting about training, especially leadership training, which we're into, there's no law that says you have to do it. Like you literally can take a manager, promote them to be a manager, not give them any preparation, and you can put them in charge of people without any training. It's not required, right? I remember for parenthood, you have to get a license to fish, right? But any jerk can become a parent. And so in many organizations, you don't even need a license to be a manager. But so confidence in things that are discretionary, proof that training is actually making a difference, and feedback so we can get it better, right? That's one of the weirdest things, and that's why this field is so important, and yet a lot of times it's shoved to the side because we can always do it later on because it's not required. Now, I don't know about we're in California, so we've got sexual harassment training is required. Cybersecurity training is like required. There's a lot of training that's required, but management training isn't. So we've been in the space for a long time of doing something that's not fundamentally required. So, so the table stakes for me, which means like what you have to just basically get done, is you have to show that people, first of all, that they showed up, that they liked it, and that they learned something, and that they maybe applied it to their job. And so there's a lot of people here at this conference that will talk about the different levels. And the piece that we've been doing for years is there's really, the first one is smile sheet. Do people like the training? Or did they walk out the door and they start telling people never again, that was terrible? Interestingly, the sexual harassment and sexual, the training that we do right now, the required stuff, it's better than it was, but it's terrible, right? But people still do it because if you don't do it, then HR bothers you, and the whole thing, and you get in big trouble. But do we like it? Doesn't matter. But if it's not required, or if it's not required by law, we have to make sure they like it. Did people learn anything? Like when they walked out, did they develop a distinction or an idea of something that matters to them? When they learned something, did they actually do anything different as a result of the training? And then level 4 is, did it create some value for the company? So there's a guy named Kirkpatrick, who was a contemporary of my father's, who died a few years ago, who was the guy that invented like the first 4 layers. So this is table stakes. Like if you're not doing this, that's no good. And the next piece that we've been working on is it worth it? And are we setting up an organization where it matters that if somebody learns something worthwhile, that they come back and they're not ridiculed for it, but they're appreciated for it, right? So this is just table stakes. And we've got a guy named Jim Irvin, a whole team. We've got a bunch of our team here. Like we make sure that this stuff happens. But here's the crazy thing. And I stole this from my wife Maddie. So if you're not doing like measuring training right now, it's a problem. You just aren't aware of it yet. But someday somebody's going to come knocking on the door and they're going to say, hey, they're going to ask you to justify that investment in training development or coaching initiatives and programs. So has anybody been asked to justify? Yeah. So here's the question. When you justified it, were you able to convince the person that was asking the question that what you did was actually worthwhile? So I'm giving like this, right? That's the problem. This is the problem. There's been a whole track here at ATD, and most of the time when we get to the place where the report is doing the validation for what we created, we're already in trouble because there's already seeds of doubt that they have that what we're doing isn't valuable because they're not seeing the value until they come and they ask for where are the numbers. And when you give them the numbers, they don't buy it anyway, right? So there's a guy here's the problem. Measurement and ROI studies often fail to justify the existence of powerful training and development and coaching initiatives, even if we're doing level 6. And in our company, we literally have a whole team that does it. And one thing that drives me crazy is we get to the end of the day and the client decides to go the other direction. And they did it because they weren't feeling the value. They weren't able to convince the value, or something else came up that was competing, right? So what works? So it's not all doom and gloom, but is this like giving you a bit of a pit in your stomach, or like, oh my God, like I've seen this movie before, right? So this movie has been going on for a really, really long time. So the first time that we took evaluation really seriously was back when Bill Clinton was president, right? And Matt and I were going to talk about it a little bit tomorrow, but we had made a big investment in e-learning, but we made a bigger investment in coaching, and we started delivering coaching in organizations because I was really scared that e-learning was going to eliminate the field of classroom training, but we were developing leaders, so we needed to have people involved. So I kind of put the bet in coaching. So we were trying to prove that coaching worked. And so we spent a lot of time following the next methodology I showed to show that coaching worked. And interestingly, it wasn't so much about this stuff, but it was about the experience that people had coming out of the coaching and the stories that they were telling in the organization, and the way that those stories were saying, I don't know what happened there, but that really matters, and therefore we should continue. So let me just kind of cruise forward. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit, and also talk about like how we build in a lot of this stuff, because a lot of the value that we create with our clients isn't from the ROI studies that we do. And we do a lot of them because we've got to check the box because it's table stakes, but a lot of it inherently comes out of it. So this is a dear friend of mine who was a mentor, a guy named Dennis Dressler. And he says, and these guys dedicated their whole organization to basically measuring the effectiveness and quantifying the value of investments in things like training and development for organizations. And they've been doing it for a really, really long time. And what they said is, the research tells us that what executives want from training departments is not our ROI studies with either really solid or numbers that they think are shaky, right? You remember the old adage, there's about statistics, there's liars, there's damn liars, and then there's statisticians, right? And so like the idea that statistics are actually going to tell the truth, we don't generally buy that. What we see to be true is our own human experience, right? And listening to the keynote around AI, and everybody's talking about AI here, right? And the more we talk about technology, the more it divorces us from the idea that I know when something is worthwhile, I know when something tastes good, I know when something is healthy, and I know when something isn't good, or doesn't taste well, or seems like it's shaky. So ROI studies, a lot of times, they have hard-fought numbers, but what really convinces executives is evidence that they believe that things that people are learning things, and that they're basically that. I'm going to read it exactly. Evidence that learning participants are using skills that they learned, right? And where does a skill come? Changing your mindset, developing a skill, applying the skill, having enough practice and support to do that are making a positive contribution to the business, right? In a way that really matters and is believable. So the secret to measurement, and this is the thing, take a picture of this. You don't have to spend money really doing it, but you just have to realize and understand that the secret to measurement that matters most is hiding in plain sight. And it doesn't really cost you anything, but it's invaluable. So what is it? It's context is everything in learning and development, in leadership, and in life. And specifically, there's a recipe. And I learned this recipe like 30 years ago, literally. And what we're doing is we're practicing this on a regular basis. So the way our business has shifted over the last like 7 years is almost half of our clients now are not just buying programs, but what they're doing is we're creating experiences for them where they're learning the same content and skills and mindset from our programs, but it's packaged together in a learning journey where we're focusing on who are the people that we're focusing on, who are the personas, like your name is Shawanda. Like who are you? What is your role? What do you need? What are your challenges? And then how do we like let you know that the training you're about to go to is designed for you, and it's set in a context that will matter for you. And so the first thing is setting the context, because if we don't set the context, then the rest of it falls apart. But a lot of people go into training and they're doing training because they're told to go, which is great because you need people to tell people to go to training. But once they get there, what has to happen in the beginning is you have to set the hook by letting them in on what they're about to embark on is not only a privilege, but it has the capacity to change their life. And that people that become extraordinary leaders, they create such a difference in their own lives and in the lives of the people that they're working with, that it creates a moment that actually will change who they are forever. And I participated in a client of ours that's run 100 people through a 1-year cohort, 100 groups, 2,500 people over the last 5 years. And when we do the kickoffs, I say confidently, the experience you're going through is going to leave you forever changed because of what you're going to learn. And what's crazy is at the end, they tell that same story and they're like, my life has changed because of the people that I spent a year with, because of what I learned, and because of how it changed me as a human being. And what's crazy is that program is all asynchronous. It's interactive, but they've never come together in person. And so they're having these powerful experiences because we told them up front, this is critically important. It's going to change your life. It's going to make you a better mother, a better father, a better sister, a better brother. You're going to be better for it. You're going to create richer relationships. You're going to learn how to love people in a way that enables them to produce results with you and for you. All that stuff about hating work, you're going to have the recipe to get past that. This will change who you are. And when they buy into that, then they go into the learning experience with this idea that this is going to change me. And as a result, when we set the context, then they listen more deeply to what we teach them. And then when we provide them opportunity to practice in a safe environment, a safe space, that's why safe spaces are so important, so we can actually experiment. And then what we do afterwards is we help them apply to what they learned on the job. This is the part we've always done. We've always taught people and given them a chance to practice. But by setting the hook, now let me show you some research. So here's basically the idea. Take care of the beginning, and the end takes care of itself, literally. So here's the magic. This is one of my clients. Huge company, right? So we did the same training, and with one group of people, we talked about what I said before. We let people in exactly, specifically, and explicitly why the training was designed, how it was designed to focus on their specific role and their needs, how we actually focused it around them and the role and the people that are doing a similar role. And we let them know that it was going to touch their heart, it was going to affect their lives personally, and it was really, really important. So we let them in on all that, and we did it in a way that they felt engaged. And then we delivered the same program. The next one, we actually delivered the same program, but we came in, we said, this stuff's great. It's going to be good for you. It's good for us. Let's go ahead and do it. Leadership training is good. It's like baseball. Mom and apple pie is good. But we didn't get specific and explicit. We just kind of vaguely introduced why we were doing it, right? Went through the same program. And then we asked them 3 questions at the end. We asked them these 30 days after the question. To what degree have you applied the learning, learning from the course on a critical business issue? 84% agreed with that. 24%. The same training. Literally was the same workbooks, the same class, the same organization, the same group of people. The only difference was we took the time and energy to let people know the context for what they were learning. How significant have the changes in the results, responses, and actions of those you read when you use the learning from the class? 76% versus 16%. I got something out of it, but not that much. And then the last, overall, how would you rate the impact this class is on the ability to lead others in the production of results? 80% versus 12%. So the magic is not in the training or the learning design. All that stuff matters. But the magic is, do you understand how something is, how important something is to three things: to the company or the organization, to performing and winning in your role, but more importantly to you and to you as a human being, and to the people you care about and who care about you. Because as my father's always said, the only thing that we can take from us in life is who loved us and who do we love. It's the one thing that we can take. It's our relationships that we built. It's not what we produce, but it's actually who we touch and who touched us. This is what happens at the end of life, right? That's the stuff that matters. You know, in the deathbed, nobody's like, you know, I wish I had gone to the office more, right? I wish I had spent more time with the people that I love and the people that love me, right? And being a leader is the ultimate role of actually being able to actually provide an environment which gives people a chance to love what they do, love their team, and actually feel like they're making a contribution versus they're trading their soul and their time for money so they can go off and find love elsewhere, right? And Marcus Buckingham, who's been here a bunch of times, he's basically is so into the idea of love. Is like, that's what happens when people have a great experience. And so what we're in the business of providing is like, we're going to help you love your work and help other people do that. So setting the context is the whole key. So these are really the three critical questions that we've been asking over time is to what degree have you applied the learning from the course against something that matters, right? Like I learned how to listen really well, but did I apply it to a relationship that really matters? Or did I apply it to like my relationship with my Labrador, right? I mean, or you know, somebody down at the grocery store. I mean, it's like, did you actually apply it to relationships that matter? How significant have been the changes? And how would you rate the impact? And then here's the last one. And this is the final piece, and I'm going to tell you a story. Do you have a story to tell? And so one of the things that we've done over time is we've asked these questions to people, and then we've said, do you have a story to tell? And when somebody says yes, 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 we go back and find these people that said yes, the ones that said yes, yes, and yes, right? Then when you say, tell me a story, so we had a woman that went through a program. She went through SL2, which is our flagship program, and then she had 3 months of coaching afterwards, right? It was a great experience. She went through, she's one of 67 sales managers, went through that experience. She answered yes, yes, and yes 30 days afterwards. We went and interviewed her, and we said, tell us what happened. And she said, well, I learned that I was really inflexible and I'm a great manager, but that I was a style 2 person. You know what style 2 is. I was really good at getting people from brand new to fully productive, but what was really hard for me is letting go. I was a control freak. I'm a micromanager, right? And so what I would do is, so she learned this about herself. Great sales leader, dealing in an environment where they had a lot of turnover, and she was like really good at getting people up to a certain place. But she goes, I knew I was driving people away, but I couldn't stop it. SL2 helped me see that. So tell us the story. So I know that I saved the job of one of my best reps because she decided to quit a few weeks after the program. And I was going to do what I normally did, but then I decided to stop and say, where are you going? Why are you leaving? Is there something that I could have done to make you reconsider that? And what we did is we got into a conversation that I had never had with somebody that I decided to try to learn. I shifted over to style 3. I got to supporting leadership style. I started listening and asking questions. And you know what happened at the end of that call is things changed a bit, and she didn't leave. And she stayed. And that's what she reported. And then we said, well, can we talk to her and see if that's true? And so we went and talked to the rep. And we said, did you stay because she changed the way she is? And she said, I did. I did because something changed. I watched it happen in those months after that training class. She became somebody that was not a micromanager, but she was really good at getting started. But she shifted. And I saw her trying. I saw her trying. And we said, so you decided to stay? She goes, yeah. And I was taking 4 people with me. And so all 5 of those people stayed. And so we had this story. And so what we did is we told the story. And we didn't say how much value we got out of it. We said to the VP of sales, what do you think about this story? And he's like, I know her. And I know them. And a program that costs about $200,000, on his own words, he's like, we got $2 or $3 million back just on those 5 reps alone. That program was worth its weight in gold because of that story, right? So it wasn't about the statistics, but what we did is we used these questions to find out the people that we needed to talk to. Because 1 or 2 stories is what you really need. And when you get people to tell their story, what do you think they do? They start telling their story to other people without you having to do it. And before you know it, people are clamoring to participate in the experience because they understand that it has the power to change their lives. So context is everything. And so it's one of the reasons why, as I've been here for all these years, we do a lot of great workshop work, tons, right? 70,000 people a year going through our SLX workshop. But one of the things that we do a lot with our clients that are more interested in creating really powerful results is we create experiences that spread out over time. But the biggest thing is not the learning design, but we let people in on why they're there, and we connect deeply with our clients about who are the people that we're training and how can we create something very specific for them that's going to make a difference. And here's the secret. The education isn't actually very different. We might say that it's so, but really we're training the same skills, the same mindsets, the same stuff, the same generic skills again and again and again. That's what all these training companies do. But what happens is we make it feel very personal because we connect it to people's lives up front, and then we connect it to their lives in the back end, and then we find out that there's incredible value being created.